Good evening and welcome to tonight's Board of School Trustees meeting. We will begin this meeting like we do each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we'll have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
Riley Booker, District 4.
Noah Smith, District 3.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniel, Superintendent of Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angela Filler, Clerk of the Board. And I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. So this evening we start with awards and recognitions. Noah, did you want to take the...
Sure.
Thank you.
For the second year in a row, we are pleased to announce Fort Wayne Community Schools School Board, us, has received a level of commendable as part of the Exemplary Governance Award, EGA, from the NES School Board Association for demonstrating an outstanding commitment to student success and good governance by engaging in professional learning through active participation in training, seminars, and conferences. Ironically, we bring this up tonight with our HCMU conversation and professional learning. In order to achieve this impressive accomplishment, the majority of the board members had to attain EGA level 75 points or higher, including attending one or more core meetings. At the Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, Region 3 ISBA meeting, the Fort Wayne Community School Board of School Trustees was recognized as being commendable for 2022, along with Mr. Corona, who was individually awarded for Level 4 Exemplary Honor Roll for being an active board member who previously attained at least 225 points. We would like to take this time to acknowledge ourselves and all of the outstanding board work we do for dedication to the students and staff in Fort Wayne Community Schools. Pat on the back.
Thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of our team, Maria Norman will accept our award. Thank you.
And nobody's going to come with me? I mean,
Come on.
board officer. Come on. Get this fancy class.
That is pretty fancy.
It is fancy.
Where's your parents, Maria?
Did they silence their cell phones?
Yay.
And this will be on display in the lobby.
Oh, that's not nice.
The letters are so big.
Not often that we get up there. Okay. All right. And now we move to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the May 8th and May 15th Board of School Trustees meetings, vouchers and payroll, and the personnel report and the addendum. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thanks, Ann.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Dr. Daniel, was there anything that you wanted to highlight in the personnel report?
After your approval.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Maria?
So, yes, I have some introductions. First of all, Jesse Webb. And I don't know if he wants to stand up. You may want to ask him questions, or whatever you give him a hard time. So, he's the Director of Career and Technical Education. So, he has served Fort Wayne Community Schools, first director. He is our first Director of Career and Technical Education. And again, as we move towards the Career Academy type concept, so it's critical that he begins those aligning of course sequence with certified teachers or instructors who have a CTE endorsement. Very, very important. So a great amount of work to do in that area. But he has served as the Career Academy principal for the past 5 years. He began in 2001 at Garrett High School. I didn't know that. He taught math and finance. And then he became an administrative intern at J.E. Ober Elementary School in Garrett High School, then named to Assistant Principal Athletic Director at Hamilton County Community Schools. Finally came to FWCS as an assistant principal at Snyder High School, and is a member of the Association for Career and Technical Education, Indiana Association for Career and Technical Education Directors, and sits on the Made by Me Education Workforce Innovation Network and the Parkview Education Consortium Board. So, Jesse, congratulations. Dr. Sandra Adams. Sandra, are you here? I don't see her here. Okay, so Sandra, it will now move into Jesse's former position as the FWCS Career Academy Principal. She joined us in 2014 as a Career Academy instructional coach, was promoted to the assistant principal position in 2021. She participated in the Adams Career in Education, she participated in the Adams Career in Education. That doesn't make sense. Let me rewrite this. She began her career in education in 1999 at the high school level, where she taught history, sociology, government, econ, and AP Psych. Then moved to the Ohio Department of Education as a social studies curriculum consultant. She has taught undergraduate and graduate courses at Wright State and started a company leading the region in CTE development and has authored several books on the same topic. At the FWCS Career Academy, Dr. Adams replaces Jesse Webb, who is now the FWCS Director of Career and Technical Education. I will say this, if you've attended the signing ceremony at our Anthus Career Center, you can see those numbers going almost exponentially in growth. So we had approximately 98 students who signed that day. So for those in our community who are saying we need to better prepare our students for life after high school, that's an example of what's happening in that space. And I attribute that to both Jesse and to Mr. Webb as well as Dr. Adams. Okay, Sarah Belcher, Center for Academic Success, Fort Wayne Virtual Academy Principal. You may be asking, what are we doing in that space? Well, in that space, we're really combining two jobs into one job. So it's part of our combining of principalships. Sarah comes to us as a district instructional coach at East Allen County Schools since 2017. She was in Fort Wayne Community Schools in 2010 as an international baccalaureate chemistry teacher at Southside High School. She also shares her leadership skills with the Fort Wayne YMCA, where she's both a fitness and wellness instructor. And at the Center for Academic Success, she will become the program's new principal. She'll also be the principal at the Fort Wayne Virtual Academy, replacing Byron Brown. And as you know, we're moving the Virtual Academy, Fort Wayne's Virtual Academy, those individuals, teachers, will be teaching remotely. We have offered some spaces for them, but now all of them have said we'll teach from our home. So it's truly a virtual instruction. So with that said, I do know Sarah a bit as well. I know she's a hard worker, very enthusiastic. She stands right there. She was actually one of my students out at Leo. So I have high expectations of what happens at our Center for Academic Success, as well as our virtual academy. So who knows where this may go, but we are I'm very pleased to have Sarah with us. You also have a son, I can just tell you, she has an endless amount of energy, and she loves kids, so we'll make that work. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Tricia Brooks. Hi, Tricia. Tricia Brooks is now our Kikianga Middle School principal. Tricia joined FWCS in 2018 as an English teacher after teaching the same subject in Cherubusco for 8 years. Over her career, she spent time as a limited term lecturer at IPFW and as an instructional coach at Southside High School. In 2019, she was an administrative intern at Memorial Park Middle School, and the next year she was named assistant principal at Kikianga. At Kikianga Middle School, Tricia Brooks replaces Mark Bailey, who is taking a position as an assessment coordinator in the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Department. And as I've talked with Mr. Bailey, Tricia, you come highly regarded, and we expect nothing but your best at Kikianga as well, continuing that tradition. It is a lovely school to go to if you haven't visited Kikianga, and I'm sure you have high expectations moving forward. So, welcome. And thank you for making that one page instead of 2 pages, Scott, so appreciate that. And those are all the personnel.
You said we could pick on them a little bit.
Yeah, you
right?
can, pick on them.
I won't pick on the last two. Appreciate and welcome, but I would pick on Jesse. Tell us a little bit more about this signing day, if you wouldn't mind, Jesse.
Signing day, we had 88 students from all 4 school districts represented, and I think last year we had right around 70. So
Hang on, we missed 10 at HVAC, so you actually had 98. Not that I'm counting.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, we missed more because I just heard today that Lutheran signed 5 of our central
great.
service tech. They just didn't have all the paperwork finished yet, so
And
we
how many
continue
companies
to
did
grow.
these kids sign with?
What's that?
How many companies did these kids sign with, or does that?
I think it was over 30. Yeah.
And what kind of fields?
Anywhere from cosmetology and culinary to carpentry and HVAC and, yeah, all health
Auto
sciences,
tech.
auto,
Welding.
all over, yeah.
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 Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really can't wait to see this in our traditional high schools as well, as this whole phenomenon rolls out, where, yeah, we're having signing days for our students who are going into co-curricular athletics or performing arts upon graduation, but what about into their next stage, whether it be a job, whether it be post-secondary, or whether it be the military. But having something like this across our whole district, and we've seen it in some of the places we visited, and I'm thinking, yeah, that would be pretty special. So, give us 3 years though. We need 4 years, Gary, sorry. We need, right, Jesse, we need 4 years? 4 years. 4 years, okay.
Thank you. Welcome to everyone. We have no old business, so we'll move on to new business. Steve, could you do the data center firewall replacement?
Yes.
Thank you.
It is recommended the board approve the purchase of 2 Palo Alto firewalls from People Driven Technology. They're from Byron Center, Michigan, and the contract amount is $831,316. The purchase will provide us with replacement data center firewalls. They'll work in a redundant configuration to provide less downtime. Both hardware and software are included in the purchase, along with 5 years of support. We were able to secure pricing 9% below. Anyway, we got a good deal. However, Indiana law does not require public bidding for purchases made at or below competitively bid contracts. And funding will come from the grant commonly known as ESSER, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. And Kevin Greibel? Greibel. Kevin Greibel, thank you. Manager of Technology will be available to answer questions.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
So motion. Second.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Kevin? Kevin, what happens to the old firewalls?
So we have a couple of options. We can try to sell them through an auction, or depending upon the age, we just recycle them through e-cycle programs.
Okay.
These we're going to probably try to sell.
Okay.
Do we currently have 2 firewalls, or this will be new to us?
We currently have 3, so we're actually consolidating down from 3 to 2. And then these 2 are actually accommodating the faster bandwidth of our wide area network that was approved, I don't know, probably a month or so ago. So we had to grow our firewall capacity.
Not to jinx you, but have we had any breaches?
None currently.
Good way to answer.
Knock on wood.
Right. Other questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up, we have the Miami Middle School project. Julie?
It's recommended that the board approve the following progressive design build services contract for the Miami Middle School entrance, vestibule, and office security project. Through CME Corporation, Phase 1 for the design build services is $15,000. The project will be procured using the progressive design build process under criteria set forth in the Indiana Public Works Design Build Law. CME Corporation provided the best value scores defined by the law. The first phase allows for the school corporation to collaborate with the design build team to optimize the design scope, quality, schedule, and budget to best meet the needs of the project, and it is culminated in a formal report that defines the project and documents all final negotiations and total contract price. The Phase 1 report is anticipated to be presented to the board for approval at its June 26th meeting with a maximum price of $1.5 million. Funding will be from the 2020 referendum project funds. Project specifications require the work to be complete by July 25th, 2024. And Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, is available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Darren?
Is the footprint of Miami similar to any other middle school we have? I know like Wayne and Northrop are very similar.
Yeah, it's the same building as Shawnee.
So is the plan to be similar to Shawnee's?
It's going to be similar, yes.
Okay. That's all I was curious about.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thanks, Karen.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next on the agenda, we have textbook adoption. Jen?
It is recommended that the board adopt proposed materials for 2023 through 2029 for the use in grades 8 through 12 numeracy. Envision Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry materials published by Savas are recommended for the 2023 adoption among other numerous publishers for specialty numeracy courses. A textbook adoption committee was facilitated by the curriculum departments. Teams of FWCS teachers participated in a year-long process of research into data analytics, vision creation, and review of instructional materials. Teacher teams utilized National Council members of mathematics textbooks evaluation rubric to gather data around real-world applications, standards, and usability. This data was used to support the recommendation of textbooks, digital content, and related materials for the adoption. There will be a brief presentation connecting the adoption process to the district's goals. Katie Henry, Curriculum Coordinator, Courtney Lumbury, Curriculum and Instruction Director, and Tricia, is it Kever or Keever? Keever. Textbook Coordinator will be available to answer questions, along, it looks like, with Dr. Joe Brown.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a sickness going through our department, so you're stuck with me tonight instead of Mrs. Lumley, so welcome, thanks. First off, I think I made a promise to Dr. Daniel, and Jennifer, you asked about this when we gave an update earlier this year about making sure we had materials in hands before school left. So just so you know, this presentation was ready for late March, early April, but with the legislation about textbook rental and also about curriculum, we had to wait about a month. So we'll fill you in a little bit more here in a minute about when we're expecting materials, but that's why the delay.
Thank you.
So sorry, boss.
That's all right. Hang on just a second. Maria's going to make a
Okay.
motion.
We just need to have a motion on the
Oh,
floor.
sorry.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Raleigh. Dr. Joe Brown.
Sorry, I started
No, you're
talking.
fine.
So first up, we're really
Hang on, wait.
focusing.
So you were planning on doing this earlier, but because of the change by the state of them supporting our book fees, they got delayed.
Correct. There was legislation about approved curriculum around math and then also around the textbook rental, so we had to wait until that legislation was finalized before moving forward.
And while you're up there, if you don't mind, are we dictated what books to use for math then?
So effective, I believe July 1, 2024, the state will be releasing approved curriculum list for both literacy and then also science, technology, engineering, and math. So if schools adopt something prior to then, they don't have to select something until their next adoption cycle. So like for us, it wouldn't be until the 2029 school year.
So if we adopt this tonight, then we're good. We don't need to worry about it.
Correct.
One of the issues that was previously, I understood in the literacy last year was supply chain issues. Are we anticipating that this
Well,
year?
the good part about high school math, most everything is available digitally, so we'll be able to get that going as soon as we submit the PO. And they are telling us that the hardback materials will be in by the first teacher training in July.
I'm done for now.
All right, so just real fast, these are just our high school committee members. I do want to point out, we did not have a secondary numeracy coordinator when we started the school year. So Dave Meyer, one of our middle school math teachers, and then also Evan Roberts, a high school teacher at Snyder, the department lead for math, both chaired the middle school and high school math committee. So that was an awesome experience and definitely great to have their voice at the table. But this is just a list of the other high school math teachers that were involved in the process. So thank you to them. So I brought this to you before. This was really just what the process looked like this year, really working on just those different components that we have there. So setting the stage, looking at research and data, hearing from our own rock star teachers, looking at that vision. So we looked at core beliefs and set that vision. From there, started looking at resources, and that's where the legislation kind of entered. So some of those dates had to change around a little bit. So we are here tonight to recommend the high school curriculum for you.
Can I interject real quick on
Yes,
your
you can.
timeline? The parent and community feedback, was that done, or are we still?
It was done. So we had
Okay.
our final 2 vendors. Unfortunately, we did not have a good turnout at all.
Okay, but they were
that
advertised
was
to the
offered.
community and it
Correct.
was offered.
Correct.
Thank you.
I don't know if it was
Was
just
it-
because it was high school. We had quite a few more last year when it was literacy, and I don't know if more were elementary, middle school, but we didn't have.
Was it late in March? I think it was later in March, closer to like spring break time, that people kind of checked out maybe.
Yeah. But we did have it, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So this was the vision that we set. Just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. We talk a lot about real-world problem solving, hands-on learning. The other component that was pretty prevalent in this work with our teachers was also having that fluency piece. So just like with reading, making sure that students have those facts and know how to work through those. So that was another critical component. But like I just said, real world problems and then also the hands-on learning. I do think that Dave's going to talk a little bit about this, but there's a lot of connection to the portrait of graduate work and also the schools of success as we think about real world problem-based learning, project-based learning. So excited about that connection as well. All right, Mr. Meyer.
So the committee used the NCTM, that's the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. We used a textbook evaluation rubric to evaluate several textbooks. We went through about 8 different textbooks, and the committee went through a lot and did a lot of hard work just sifting through all of the resources. So I really thank them for their time. And so we decided on the top 2 vendors. The first one was Envision, and then the second one was from Carnegie, which was Math Solutions. The teacher feedback had a 95.56 out of 100 rating, so the teachers really thought that this was strong resources and materials and provided great learning opportunities for our students. As we were progressing into the conversations, it was brought up that it would be better to switch geometry and algebra 2 back. And so as we talked to teachers, we made that decision, and now it will be algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2.
Why is that?
It gives more time for students to kind of let the math and algebraic ideas kind of just, I don't know, simmer in their mind, like it just gives them opportunity to let it bake a little bit more.
Do they take Algebra 1 in 8th grade? Does every 8th grader take?
So right now, it's reverting back to Algebra 1 as freshmen. There are still honors classes within the 8th grade in I believe, all schools, but it is mostly 8th grade math at this point.
I thought we changed that because of the new requirement to take the SAT at the junior level, and the reasoning that I heard, because my child fell into this position and I was very interested in it,
Yeah.
was that they had to have a certain level of algebra to be able to take the SAT. So can you explain? I understand the way it used to work. I understand that. But if we switch the one way and then we switch back the other way, when we're still taking the SAT, how do you feel our kids are going to, the outcomes on the SAT without having that full second level of algebra?
Yeah, I do believe that having that middle year helps. I do not think that having Algebra 2 right after Algebra 1 necessarily is beneficial to our students. And the reason why is because there are a lot of Algebra 1 students that aren't necessarily ready yet for that Algebra 2 kind of jump, because that jump is there and it's a major jump. I think that year of geometry, as we mentioned with our vision, it helps out with our cognitive functions of our students. And I think it gives time for our students to develop those cognitive functions within the geometry classroom before they hit the Algebra 2.
So you think that the extra year in learning a different discipline in math? I know, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good.
But I'm just.
You're good. So
I'm just trying to figure out why
Yep.
what the reasoning is.
No,
we
so the
switched it.
teachers that came up to us and the feedback that was provided was the switch was originally made for ISTEP. And now that we are testing with SAT, that need is not there. So it was because we were testing with ISTEP and trying to make sure kids had that before they took ISTEP in 10th grade.
Can I just jump in and comment as a former math teacher? And that is, I think that Algebra 2 requires a certain level of maturity.
Yeah.
And it is unlikely that a lot of freshmen and even sophomores would have that. And the way that geometry is taught now, there's a lot of algebra in it. There's algebra in it and there's trig in it. So not only are they learning geometry, but they're also practicing their algebra skills throughout the year, which makes them better prepared for Algebra 2. And the other issue is that the SAT, they don't take it until
Junior year.
March or April? Is it March?
Spring and junior year.
Spring.
Yeah, spring.
Right,
This
it's the spring. So I'm saying they're taking Algebra 2, so, they're taking the SAT when they've had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 or 7 months of Algebra 2 before they take the SAT.
Like,
So
I guess what I'm getting.
personally, I applaud
That's what I was going to say.
this move.
I appreciate the fact that you took the teachers into consideration, listened to what they said, since we did make that change and we were looking for something else, and that you realized that that's not necessarily a good change. So I do appreciate.
And
that
our
you did that
teachers were
research.
very vocal in that, and again, it was good advice, so.
Great.
I think it was a unanimous decision by teachers that we asked.
Well, thank you for
Does this mean
listening.
we're not doing double math in middle school then going forward too?
Just, you would say no comment.
So at this point, we're doing a math class with a math lab in there at this point.
And we're going to continue that?
That'll be evaluated as we
We're going to be evaluating that.
Great answer.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job,
So,
by the way.
Thank you. First day on the job,
Why don't you introduce yourself too, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so my name is David Meyer. I work at Memorial Park currently. So I teach 7th and 8th grade math. I'll be transitioning into the secondary numeracy curriculum spot. So looking forward to it, and I'm super excited to be here. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as we were looking at this, one of the things with Envision is that there is text and digital access available for students and teachers, and we're going to get that out as soon as possible. It is aligned to state or Indiana state standards. And then also, as we looked at this, this does provide problem-based learning opportunities. Each unit comes with a project-based learning project that does require some students to have hands-on experiences. It also comes with tasks that there's a model called 3-Act Maths that engage the student and get them to think collaboratively and also just critically as they go throughout a problem.
Could you comment, if you looked at this, why is it so great? I mean, if the second best was 35 basis points below, what made this product so strong compared to the others?
I think part of it is teacher experience with it before. Previously, we've had some, some teachers have had experiences with this program, and they really liked the resources with it.
Is it what we use currently?
It's not what we do currently with algebra, geometry, algebra 2, but some of the higher level classes.
Is the project-based learning component something new with this particular?
So Big Ideas did not have project-based learning. So as a teacher, what I would use is through defined learning. And so right now our kids are going through a defined learning project as we wrap up the end of the year. But Big Ideas did not have any PBLs on hand.
And that's the current curriculum?
Mm-hmm.
So what made us decide to, I see that we're moving forward in the 8 through 12 with the new books without a pilot. What made you decide that these we were at that level to be able to go ahead with these without piloting?
Yeah, so really just through conversations with teachers. So high school just gave the green light. Teachers were comfortable in moving ahead. Middle school and elementary were not comfortable. And so it was about a 50-50 for middle school. And do you know elementary?
Good evening. I'm Katie Henry. I'm the elementary numeracy coordinator. The elementary, because we've had such a large lift with our language arts this year, they really wanted to be able to solidify their practices with language arts before they jump into a new math curriculum. We do have 60 classrooms that are going to pilot at the elementary level, which is a wonderful number to see that they're very excited about it. But overall, they really did say we want to be able to solidify one practice before we add some more new. But the high school teachers, because they do have that specialty component, they were ready to move forward. They were ready to have these challenges and these tools for our kids. They really liked the online components as well. It's the Realize platform that they can add customized lessons, they can add reteaching, they can have the students scan a QR code and they can see their videos. They really felt like they needed something to be able to push our students further, especially with all the things that are coming down the pike for us, to be able to really have them meet those expectations.
Great. Thank you.
So with that as well, we also have our specialty math programs that outside of our AGA. I won't read all of these to you, but all of the specialty classes are also going to adopt for this upcoming school year. The dark black words or the bolded words are going to be the titles. Most of these are books that have already been used in our classrooms that our teachers are really, really passionate about, that they either have a younger version or we've used previously and they really wanted to see those kind of circle back.
I assume Calculus IU is our dual credit course?
Yes, that is the one through Indiana University. Yes.
And are these actual books? Are they like still on the computer, whatever it means?
So all of these, I shouldn't say all of these, the majority of these are physical books, but they all have online access. CCR Bridge is a fully digital program. And the quantitative reasoning, the understanding and using mathematics through Pearson, they opted to have the newest version of the 8th version, which is the fully online access. 7th version is available, but the teachers ultimately decided that this is going to be what's best. Everything else is going to have a physical textbook.
How often do we do this?
Every 6 years?
6 years, yeah.
Huh?
Every 6 years.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So you had asked about our elementary and our middle school programming, and so what will happen this summer is we will have our middle school curriculum writers come together for the elementary and the middle school. They are going to be working on the standards reduction. So the state did a 33% standards reduction. So we have some different priorities. We have some different gaps maybe in our current maps that we need to address, and so our writers are going to work on that at the elementary and middle school levels. All of our teachers who are piloting are going to have vendor training this summer to be able to understand that platform and the strategies and skills for what's up and coming. And then with our pilot programs, we are going to continue to have pilot committees that will run through next year. Those committees are going to continue to give us teacher feedback. They're going to continue to collect data on what they're seeing in their classrooms, and most importantly, teacher input. And so with all of those different components, we're going to look at hopefully coming to you in February of next year with a recommendation for what the teachers and we feel is best to move forward, and then adopt ultimately the following school year for the middle and the elementary schools.
You said 60 classrooms are participating?
63 elementary, yes.
63?
And 13 middle school.
And is that spread throughout the district, or is there?
Yes. So the way that Dr. Brown and Mrs. Lumley and I looked at it was we looked at our feeder patterns. And so the teachers were able to say, we really want to do this programming. They have the option of 3 at the elementary and 4 at the middle school. Based on the feeder patterns and the teacher input, we were really able to say, okay, a second grade classroom in the Snyder feeder family is going to compare iReady to Math and U. And then when we're looking at a Northside feeder family, we have similar characteristics as well. So it really is represented across the entire district.
And by grade level as well, too?
Yes, sir.
So are they piloting all the same curriculum, or is there each trying a little bit different to see who likes what?
They are piloting 3 different curricula across the 63. Yes, sir. So the 3 programs for the elementary are going to be iReady, Math and U, and Envision, which is the high school adoption one. The middle school is going to be doing iReady and Envision with adding Carnegie and I blanked, Reveal.
And was that a voluntary option for the teachers, or did you kind of
Yes.
go tap them on the shoulder and ask? Hey,
The elementary really was fully voluntary. We had floods that were saying, we really want to, or principals that were saying, I really want my grade level to try this. The middle school, they needed a little bit more, asking a little bit more convincing with that. But ultimately, they were our committee members, and they were the principals that were involved in the committee process that said, I have some rock star teachers that I think really need to shine with this.
So on the high school level, so we will be doing summer curriculum writing, where we will be making sure that our standards are aligned with the textbook. We will also be looking at process standards, where we're going to be trying to focus and emphasize the process standards within our classrooms. There will be summer PL opportunities at the middle of June, and then also some dates in July for staff members to get their hands on the books and the curriculum. And then there's also going to be ongoing PL just at the request of buildings and administrators.
At the high school level, are all your committee members, were they all math teachers?
There were some that were from PFW, some professors from PFW.
How about the other, or the curriculum writers, are they all, well, for middle school, you obviously could have math, and then high school, but elementary, it's kind of, do you have elementary curriculum writers for math that are?
We do. So I have every grade level represented for my elementary curriculum writers. I do have some special education teachers and some coaches that are also going to join us this summer. And some of like the 3rd, 4th, well, more 4th and 5th graders, they work heavily with math, or they are ones that decompartmentalize and switch subjects or teach, one more than the other for the other pieces. So we do have a really good mix this summer.
Great. Thank you.
You mentioned this Steve's question, we do this every 6 years, but this math piloting represents that we really have a choice in that. Is that right, Joe?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
So I guess basically Steve asked how often we do this, said every 6 years.
Yeah, so.
But that's not hard and fast, I guess. Is the
Correct.
question.
There is a little bit of flexibility with that as far as what you're, well, I guess Kathy, I'm not positive if I know now that we're paying for everything on our own, if we're able to reimburse. I don't think it will matter anymore moving forward. So I think there will be more flexibility. The one thing that I think is important to note is that we are going to move to this type of process that we're doing for elementary and middle across to all adoptions. So really going through that program review year one, where we're looking at our data, looking at research, building out what that vision is for that content, and then year two piloting. So that's something we're going to move forward on across all programs.
Well, and that was ultimately my or end of the question was I applaud that because I think it sounds like we really listened to our teachers here and both to adapt and not to adapt, and then taking our time, energy, and effort to understand really the impact of what this curriculum will do for our students and hopefully really move the needle. So I want to thank you for taking the lead on that process and the team behind you to move that forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
You survived day one. Good job.
Technically, hasn't started yet, so that was his interview.
Can I clarify? Okay,
was his
so
interview.
the 2023 to 2029 for 8 through 12 will specifically be what he's mentioned tonight. But the ones that we're piloting, will that still be in that same 23 to 29?
No.
Or will it be the 30 then?
That would be 24 to
Okay.
30 then.
Okay. Thank you. I think that just followed up to Noah's question and I wasn't quite sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we need to vote. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't know who read that. You read that? Thank you. Oh, okay. Next on the agenda is Dreambox Learning Math. Anne?
It is recommended that the board approve a one-year renewal of Dreambox Learning Math digital software from Dreambox Learning of Bellevue, Washington for $249,968.40. Dreambox is accessible to all K-5 students to enhance student skill and conceptual learning in mathematics. Dreambox offers K-5 students the opportunity to learn math concepts and construct their own knowledge and understanding in a way that honors their unique prior knowledge and skills. Funding will come from the Education Fund. Catherine Henry, Elementary Numeracy Coordinator, and Courtney Lumley, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, will be available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Anne. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Thanks, Anne.
Second.
Thanks, Jennifer. Any questions for Catherine?
I have a couple questions.
Mhm.
First of all, are you Katie or are you Catherine? So currently, can you tell me a little bit about how many classrooms are using Dreambox regularly, how they kind of use them? Just give us a little brief overview of that.
Yeah. So it looks very different in each one of our classrooms across each building. But on average, our students are completing 2 lessons a week, according to the data that we've pulled, which equates to about 34 minutes of Dreambox instruction over the course of the week. This year, we had over 1 million lessons that were completed by our students, and in 100% of our buildings, our students were able to access the programming.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember the last time we adopted, and I just wanted to know how we were using it prior to and how much more we're using it.
Well, and I will say that I have seen some phenomenal models where some of the buildings have Dreambox time. So the kids come in and they know that this is their intervention time. They're going to get on their devices, they're going to work on that. Dreambox came out with a reflective piece this year, I'm going to call it, where the teacher is able to see where the student got held up if there was an issue in one of their programs. And so the teacher is able to say, hey, I noticed that on this concept or in this minute that you were really struggling. Let's walk through this. And so I have seen that. We've done professional learning on that for our teachers to be able to access those reports. And that's something that I have seen, I've heard conversations about. I also know that there are other teachers in other buildings that are using it for that intervention time. So they're pulling a small group, talking about whatever skill they may need to address, but then the students are working on their Dreambox at that time as well. So it's used a little differently.
So each teacher has autonomy of how they use Dreambox?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a resource for them, whether they use that or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Other questions?
Do we use any other math support programs in that level?
At elementary.
Yeah.
For elementary, we don't have any additional paid supplemental supports. Some of our teachers opt to use like different apps that they have found, but nothing that is district-wide. We do have in the upcoming programs, all of them will have an adaptive resource that the students can use in our new math adoptions that will be coming after the pilot.
So the pilot you're looking at could ultimately supplement or replace this?
Yes, our hope is that the pilot will be all-encompassing, or the one that we choose from the pilot will be all-encompassing. Our teachers that will be using the pilot will have the option to use that supplemental material as well. They can still use Dreambox, but that they can use that as well for iReady or Math and U.
Thank you.
Will it have the same capability, the pilots, as Dreambox, where kids who are a little bit more advanced can move on, or have that reflective capability for the teachers to pinpoint where they need assistance?
So it is definitely an independent learning platform, meaning that there will be some sort of diagnostic or entrance component. So the evaluation tool can see where the student is. It will then take them on a pathway for all of the programs that we will be piloting. It will then take them on a pathway to be able to determine what their needs are. However, if the teacher is saying, ugh, you really didn't do well on this skill or this asset, or we really need to reinforce this, there's also that capability in all 3 of our pilots to be able to adjust that and say, I would like for you to practice this skill. All of them also have that reflective dashboard for the teacher to say, these are the standards that you have accomplished, or this is your goal where I want to see you go next. And so that is going to be available. Yes, ma'am.
So ideally, this cost will go away and it will be encompassed in what
That
we're
is our
adopting.
plan. Yes, ma'am.
Kathy would appreciate that. She won't be here.
Saving, cost saving, cost saving. You appreciate that all the time, right, Kathy? Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Raleigh, can you do the next one?
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of an Ellis Aquatic Vigilance System, I'm going to call it EVES, or Ellis Aquatic Innovations of from Ellis Aquatic Innovations of Maitland, Florida for $253,837.37. The EVES is cutting-edge technology and provides the same quality of lifeguarding excellence as we have now, but with less lifeguards on deck. The system allows us to provide additional uses for our guests while saving money on staffing, training, uniforms, licenses, and other recurring costs. In addition to the equipment and installation, the purchase includes 5 years of maintenance, training, licensing fees, and insurance. The EVES will replace the Poseidon system, which was installed in 2001. Ellis Aquatic Innovations is the manufacturer and sole source provider. Indiana law does not require bidding for purchases made from sole source providers. Funding will come from the Education Fund, and Liz Kaywood, director of the Helen P. Brown Natatorium, will provide a brief presentation on the EVES.
And before you start, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. We just need to take is there a motion on
Madam
the
President,
floor?
I move we listen to Liz's presentation.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Jennifer. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here. My name is Liz Kaywood. As Ms. Booker said, I'm the Helen P. Brown Natatorium Director. I've been there since 2001. If you please, I would like to start you with a quick video, give you a quick presentation, and then I'm sure you'll have some questions for me. So. Pushing that higher. Yeah, right. Thank you. Fort Wayne Community Schools Helen P. Brown Natatorium started a journey of safety about 22 years ago. First by bringing in the Ellis & Associates Lifeguard Training Program, and then by becoming the first 50-meter pool in the world to install the computer-aided Poseidon drowning detection system. Over the years, the natatorium has earned many Platinum International Safety Awards for our comprehensive risk management approach, showing that we strive to exceed industry standards consistently through our training, vigilance, and technological applications. However, after 20-plus years, as the industry has moved forward, Poseidon has not. It has made virtually no progress over the years, and it's time to retire it. Today, I'm asking for your approval of the newest technology in aquatic vigilance, pushing a new industry standard, the Ellis Aquatic Vigilance System, or EVES. EVES combines the use of advanced cameras covering activities in our pool and on deck with a dedicated, focused EVES operator in a distraction-free control room with an AI system to detect unusual behavior and provides alerts through programmable alarms. The EVES operator is able to maintain a bird's eye view of the pool, giving them the ability to see a much larger area and communicate issues to the guard on deck via radio. Just like we receive unannounced audits in person to assess our ability to recognize and manage an aquatic emergency, safety performance is verified by external auditing from the Ellis Aquatic Innovations team by auditing the person in the control room. The EVES program works in conjunction with our current Ellis lifeguarding program to provide enhanced coverage of our facility while requiring less guard coverage poolside, giving us the ability to meet the needs of more guests and even in the labor crisis. We will be able to strengthen our training program by letting guards watch both rescue and practice footage. The EVES system has been operational in the U.S. since 2018 and installed in all the Gaylord resorts. It's also currently being installed in all the Great Wolf Lodges through the U.S. and internationally. As an added benefit to the EVES system, we have the potential to save $36,000 a year in staffing expenses, helping to cover the yearly fee. Make no mistake, though, safety remains our #1 priority. The EVES system will provide us with that additional layer of protection that has set us apart in ensuring safety for our guests. Speaking of our guests, the natatorium serves a diverse population of our community, including some of our Fort Wayne Community School elementary and high school students with swimming lessons, high school swim and dive teams, including our 5 Fort Wayne Community School teams and 5 more non-Fort Wayne Community School teams. We are honored to host the SAC and sectional meets. We serve as a satellite site for 2 club swim teams for practice and meets, as well as 1 club dive team. We also serve the public with swim lessons, water exercise, and lap swimming. It is our #1 goal to keep our guests safe each day by exceeding lifeguarding standards, which would now include the EVES technology. What questions can I answer?
So irrespective of who is using the pool, it's your staff maintaining the system, Liz?
Yes, yes.
So, you know, I'm thinking about technology in every part of our lives and how it's changed. Tell me what this new system does that our current system does not do.
Great. So the difference between the Poseidon system is an unmanned system, and what it does is tracks the trajectory of an object. It doesn't matter if it's a swimmer or a brick or a towel to the bottom of the pool, and then when it's motionless for up to 10 seconds, then it'll give us an alert, and we would have coordinates of the pool and we would go there. The problem with the system is that it gives us a bunch of false alerts. Anybody standing for a bit of time in the shallow end, it'll alert that. So it kind of makes us, I don't want to say that we would ever get complacent, because we don't do that, but it kind of makes you think, oh, it's shallow end, it's just somebody standing. Whereas this new system has an actual human watching the monitors, and if you think about, if you've ever been to the natatorium, which I know some of you have, from up on the balcony, you can see that bird's eye view of the pool, and you can see so much more clearly to the bottom than you can from even a guard position. Guard positions have the limitations of seeing glare or not being able to see very far. So this is that technology that kind of addresses being able to see right down through the bottom of the pool.
Have you been able to visit a pool that has this system?
I have. I visited the Gaylord in Nashville.
What'd you think?
Amazing. Both the Gaylord and the system. For sure, yeah. It was a really neat system. I was shocked. They did, I don't know if you guys know much about what we do to test our lifeguards, but we do vigilance awareness training, which is mannequin drops. So they did lots of mannequin drops for me, both testing the lifeguard and the operator. And the way they have it set up, which is not exactly the way we would have it set up, but they have lazy rivers that go behind objects and stuff like that. And traditionally, they would probably need, let's just say 5 people to cover a lazy river, where they're down to 1 or 2 because the eaves operator is able to see all those areas that you can't necessarily see.
So do we have an observation area or control room now, or will you have to move that location?
We're building that out in a current storage room, and you think storage room like, ooh, that doesn't sound good, but the point is to provide a room that has no distractions, that has constant temperature, humidity, kind of taken away for all of the technology. So just a room that is, you go in for your certain amount of time, you just pay attention to the monitors, you can't have your cell phone in there, you can have a drink, but it has to be on the floor, you can't have snacks. It's focused.
Do you have people in the pool every day?
Do we have people in the pool every day? Yes.
And weekends are busy?
No. Now this weekend
Really?
was very busy because we had a swim meet. So we had 500 kids and all their parents, and so we were very busy this weekend. But traditionally, weekends are not super busy anymore, so we're open. Let me re-answer your question, because we're not traditionally open on Sundays.
Yeah.
We're open on Saturday mornings. So we question that from time to time in the summer because the cost benefit is not there with the 9 people that might come in and having to pay, exponential people to cover that. So
How many staff people, like lifeguards, do you have currently that you'll be able to go to or transition at this point?
So just to give you a little background, COVID hit us pretty hard in terms of staffing and in terms of people wanting to come in and get lifeguarding jobs. So we've had to cut back on our hours that we're offering people to the extent that we weren't able to serve all the people that we wanted. So the numbers that I'm going to give you are not numbers that we would want to have to move forward. But right now we have 14 lifeguards. We should have 6 supervisors. Right now we have 4 supervisors. So we have 2 supervisor positions that are available and open, which obviously cuts down our hours because we would always have a supervisor on duty. We're not a facility that is not supervised. And as far as lifeguards, so we are super flexible with our hours. So I would say the goal would be to have about 30 lifeguards to be able to really cover everything that we need. So that tells you how short we are right now. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, with this program, you said you'll be able to save $36,000.
Yeah, so let me answer that one specifically. So we have 6 guards during our fullest time. So when we have all the pool used and guards up, we would have 6 guards. We'd be able to knock that down to 4. So we'd have the potential of 3 guards up and a guard in the control room, and then a supervisor on deck.
How long is the person, what is the time frame that the control room person can be in there? I'm sure there's a max, and that after a while it gets tired of.
Right. Ellis rules are 30 minutes for a rotation, so we want to give them a different view every 30 minutes. We actually do 20 minutes, so that would be a rotation in their zone. So, they might go from this chair to this chair into the control room to maybe take a minute to use the restroom and whatever, and then go back and do it all over again.
So it is a actual lifeguard that's going to go to the control room, not a supervisor?
A supervisor is somebody who trains lifeguards, so they'd be even better in the room.
Right. But an actual lifeguard can still, it can be part of the rotation?
It can be a lifeguard or supervisor, but again, a supervisor is a lifeguard.
Right. Okay, so Ellis, I know, is the gold standard of water safety.
Yes.
So I have no problem with any of that and what you're saying. I'm just concerned of how many, you mentioned our lack of lifeguards and where we're at compared to other pools paying and other things. Do you have solutions for us or thoughts, or I know we have a budget, but it's always been.
Right.
And lifeguarding is a hard thing because
It is.
people are in control. I know I talked to one of our teachers runs the Parks and Rec one in Northside Pool. My kids were both lifeguards there.
Right.
One could handle it, one couldn't. They
Right.
felt too responsible all day long. It was too
Right.
stressful.
Right.
And I know that that comes along with this. So
Right.
is there anything that can be done that we can entice people or get, it's a great facility to work at. You just talked
get an
about
intern
flexible,
next year?
flexible hours and students and,
Right, I mean, we can offer so much in terms of hours. We have, we could be open from 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. So take a college student, take a high school student, take a stay-at-home mom, take a Boy Scout leader. We don't care where they come from, but we can offer them anywhere between, up to 25 hours a week in terms of hours. But most of our staff works probably 8 hours a week or so, because we get lots of kids who are in other activities, and they're the people who are very, organized and whatnot. To answer your question, I certainly, I think $13 an hour is not the best pay for somebody who's, in a professional position that is geared to save lives and takes training every month and takes a certification to get you into the job in the first place. We pay for the certification, but we don't pay them for the certification, which I'm not suggesting that we necessarily do. I like to see that dedication to wanting to put the work in before, we start actually
So,
paying them.
to be clear, we pay them to get certified. We just don't pay them an hourly to be certified.
Right, we pay for their,
Training.
it's a license
Right.
technically, right, for them.
Do you teach a lifeguarding class too?
We do. We probably teach more lifeguarding classes than anybody else in the city. We're getting
So
lots of
I could
calls.
have no experience and come in and say, I want to be a lifeguard for you, and you could teach me from.
Absolutely, as long as you can swim the prereqs, yeah. And we would love to do that.
I did that in college and enjoyed it.
Excellent.
So the
Saved
alarm.
2 lives, kind of, but.
The alarm that goes off. Can you tell us about the alarm and what that sounds like, or how are they alerted if you're in the control room and you're seeing something? How does that work?
So not confuse the Poseidon that does alarm out on the deck with the new system, the Eaves. The Eaves does not alarm out on deck. The Eaves, so it's a little bit different for us because we're not a water park, and we would be one of the first flat water pools for them to have this system. So again, we're setting the industry standard with them. But what we would do, how we would use it from the AI perspective or the artificial intelligence perspective is, say we have swimming lessons on one end of the pool and we are not really lifeguarding the rest of the pool with an actual lifeguard, just with our Eaves operator. We could set a what we'll call non-supervision zone in the rest of the pool. And if somebody went into that area, it would shoot up an alert on the monitor that they're watching,
Okay.
give a little ding on that, and that's how we would know.
Okay.
Sorry, that was long.
No,
but-
that's all right. So you did mention, is Poseidon completely going away, or are we keeping that as an underlying, another layer?
No, the end of Poseidon. It has done its job and we're done with it.
And did you say Ellis was the manufacturer of Poseidon too?
No,
Oh, I misunderstood that.
Ellis was the one who helped us get Poseidon 22 years ago. They were working with Poseidon on, Poseidon wanted to prove to Ellis that lifeguards were not seeing what they thought they were seeing, and that's the kind of the invention of the dummy drops and the mannequin drops on average, it was taking lifeguards about 3 minutes to see a mannequin at the bottom of a clear pool. So they helped them do that study, and now it's about 3 to 6 seconds. So pretty fast. The industry has come a long way.
I'm so sorry. You mentioned that the Gaylord
Mhm.
and Great Wolf Lodge currently use this system.
Yes.
But no other schools or community swimming pools?
It's at the beginning. There are people in the water park industry that are fighting for this right now. We are lucky enough to have the shot at it because Jeff Ellis said, you know what, you guys took Poseidon on 20 years ago. You've shown your loyalty to technology and being the best, and we want to get this in for you. They're booked through 2024.
So we just have, the perk is that we have access. Is there a certain price that we're getting for this? And what's the price difference between Poseidon in this?
Good question. So the yearly fee is a difference between $20,000 a year for Poseidon and 29 and some change for the Ellis, the Eves program. And I would say our price didn't go up for 20 years for the Poseidon system, so I don't think that that's a bad price in our industry for this new product. Did I answer your question? Or
did.
install, you want install versus?
So it's $250 something thousand.
So we have to pay a one-time fee for installation. That's the $104,000, and that's a one-time fee. And so when we brought Poseidon in 20-plus years ago, that was after Fort Wayne Community Schools had an incident, and so Ellis and Poseidon came in and said, we're not going to let this happen again. You know, we're going to help you. And we were the first 50-meter pool in the world to have the Poseidon system, and they installed, I think it was $150,000 maybe, but they installed it for free for us. So
Can you clarify
comparatively.
that, Liz, real quick? You just mentioned it was $29,000 a year, but is that included in this cost right now, that
It is.
$253,000? Okay.
It is, and I can give you the exact price if you
No,
if you
that's
want me to
okay. I
pull
just
up.
wanted,
Okay.
we were just discussing if that's included, because
Yeah.
it says, so that's a 5-year.
Yeah, so year one is $134-ish thousand a year, and then after that, for the other 4 years, is just that maintenance fee
Okay.
Is this going to be installed this summer then, you think?
in August, hopefully.
So just to be clear, this system entirely relies on the person that's sitting there watching how many cameras?
8 cameras. I want to
No
say there
alerts,
might be a
no,
ninth that
hey,
is a
look at
pan.
this.
I'm sorry.
There's no alerts, there's no, hey, look at this. It entirely relies on the
Correct.
person that's looking at the cameras.
Correct.
Unless you put it in a no-swim zone.
Non-supervisory
Correct.
thing, and then ding,
Correct.
somebody's in that area.
Correct. Now, because I can hear you're kind of like, I'm not
I
so
was just
sure
gonna
about
ask,
that.
Does that concern you a little bit?
Well, I'm always concerned about safety, so
Sure.
yes, I'm always concerned. But, so the Poseidon system, we do dummy drags every month, and the accuracy of the Poseidon system when we do those drags is about 88%, which to me is, that's not okay. So we're relying on a system that's not working for us.
Well, yeah, no system's probably going to be perfect.
Right. And no human is either, but with
Right.
the combination of everything, we hope that it's the absolute best that we can offer.
Will you still be doing those bat drills where they're,
Everything with lifeguarding will stay the same. Same training, same in-servicing, we'll obviously have to change things a little bit. I think the biggest change for us will be our team management of a situation or scenario where we're dropping down a few people. So that will look a little bit different. No different than what we do in the morning at the facility, though. That'll just kind of transfer to what we do at night if we would have a situation.
so is the control room located down on deck then?
It is.
So that person in that control room could still fit the 10-20 thing if that person would that person ever be leaving the control room? If there was a situation?
Not until we would clear the pool. So one of the things that you want to be careful about in an aquatic situation is you have a situation, everybody kind of looks at that, and then you have the kids that, and we practice who does crowd control and clear the pool, but there's a point where, somebody's still swimming over here and you have the potential of the guard coming over and helping with the situation. So the person in the control room would be able to see that so we don't have a second incident.
Great.
When's the last time you've had an incident?
We had somebody have a seizure during swim team that we had to
This year?
provide care for this year. Yep. I mean, we had an incident on Friday night, but it wasn't somebody that we had to pull out of the pool, but
That was probably like the
we
incidents
have-
I had when I was a lifeguard where I saved somebody.
right. I mean, so,
Thank you, Liz.
thank you very much.
One question. Is CPR training part of lifeguard training?
CPR, AED,
Gotcha.
all the rescue skills, yes.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Probably only 10 people watching, but I would encourage those parents to get in touch with Liz with their kids, because lifeguarding can be a fun and
Oh, absolutely.
not overly strenuous at times employment.
Did we move
flexible, I
to
heard her say.
approve, or did we just move to what, to listen to Liz?
We,
Move to listen to Liz.
we,
Should have been to approve.
yeah.
I move to approve
Thank you.
I'll second.
purchase.
Thank you, Noah. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, so next up is the public hearing. So it's recommended that the board conduct a second of 2 public hearings for a possible district-wide safety and security and handicap accessibility facility improvement project. Mouthful. The estimated cost of the project will be in excess of $1 million, but less than $10,250,000. It is further recommended that the board adopt a resolution declaring the need for the project and making a preliminary determination to issue general obligation bonds to finance the project and declaring intent to reimburse preliminary expenditures from the bond. The project includes, but is not limited to, the installation of security equipment in the buildings operated by the school corporation and the installation and/or replacement of several elevator lifts at several facilities operated by the school corporation, including but not limited to the installation and/or replacement of the 750-pound platform lifts with 1,400-pound limited use, limited access lifts. The board has discussed the potential project at work sessions, and presentations have been made at community meetings. The first required public hearing was conducted on May 8, 2023. Both public hearings were properly advertised on April 27, 2023. Kathy Friend, Chief Financial Officer, will make a presentation regarding the project and its financing at this time. Upon conclusion of the presentation, members of the public may address the board regarding the possible safety, security, and facility project. Upon completion of the public hearing, the board shall vote on the resolution. Kathy Friend.
Good evening. I apologize that you have to listen to this twice, but this is part of the requirement of the process that we have to go through. So this is the same exact presentation that I brought the last time. As you'll recall, this is what our current debt schedule looks like, and the board has had a goal of a 0.3028 tax rate for our debt. These are the things that we would like to purchase with the bond issue that you approve and our estimated costs. So the resolution gives us a window of opportunity to determine how much dollars we need to purchase these particular items. All of these things, the security items, are things that can be done without additional staff, as what is included in the referendum. So that's why we decided that we'd like to get these things going quicker, and so that's why they're in this bond issue instead of waiting until the results in November.
Remind me, on the AO phone systems, does that be done at every school, every building?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. This would be what the debt schedule would look like. Those yellow boxes would include the debt service on this particular issue. The plan is to have a quick repayment schedule for these and still maintain that tax rate below 0.3028. And as you can see, we have a lot of flexibility there. We may be able to do some other things as well and still maintain that rate. This is the key part that we're required to talk about tonight. So these are the factors that you need to be aware of, what the total amount of debt would be, and the estimated debt repayment schedule, what the annual payments, the maximum annual payments are, the maximum total interest, and then there's some discussion there at the end about overlapping debt between us and the other taxing districts in the county. And this is the proposed calendar, and as you can see, we're on the second item there. So the board holds the public hearing tonight and then also passes this resolution, and then we will, after that, move on to the other pieces. We will have to have another public hearing on July 24th, which is basically, it's an additional appropriation that says you give us permission to spend the money that gets approved. So that's all, and if you have the resolution was in your packets, if you have any questions about that.
Okay. If anyone here would like to comment, please come to the microphone. We ask speakers to limit remarks to 1 3-minute session. Okay. As there is no one who wishes to speak, the hearing is now closed. Okay, so now we need to approve the resolution.
I move to approve the resolution.
Thank you, Ann.
Second.
Thank you, Jennifer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. So now we have, we're on to reports, information, and statements. So we have a Human Capital Management University presentation, Ramona Coleman, Assistant Superintendent of Professional Learning, and Amanda Ladig, Talent Management Coordinator, will provide an overview of the Human Capital Management University. A video will be shared to demonstrate the various components of HCMU. Ramona, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Board President Norman, officers, board members, Dr. Daniels, Secretary to the Board, Cabinet, and others. Again, tonight, wanted to share with you our Human Capital Management University and give you a broad overview. So first, I want to start tonight with the work that was done to start this process or do a reset with Human Capital Management University, and that's with our Action Initiative Planning Team, our AIP. And just really want to say a thank you, especially to our Chief of Systems, Jack Bird, and others within this committee that helped with the planning and moving forward with the implementation of Human Capital Management University. I have Amanda Ladig here with me tonight, our Talent Management Coordinator. Abby Gail Heidenreich is in the audience that's listening tonight, who really supports the digital component of making sure behind the scenes that everything works with Human Capital Management University. And then again with Amanda Ladig that's here, Talent Management Coordinator, that supports again with Abby. So tonight I really want to start with our why around Human Capital Management University and the focus direction that we have. With Human Capital Management University, we can see that at the very beginning we want to make sure that this is a university that provides access to all staff. We do have the word equitable highlighted within the focus direction for HCMU. And the reason for that highlight is that we really want to make sure that we're bringing attention to HCMU is for all staff and making sure that we have equitable access for all staff, especially when it comes to our classified staff. We do a lot of job-embedded professional learning during the day for all of our teaching staff, leadership and professional learning communities. Our classified staff, we're bringing them together, but we know that that's another group, a very targeted group, that we need to make sure that all the PL that we're looking at toward other groups, that we're giving them that access. I also want to focus on the words comprehensive, one-stop, shop for adult learners within FWCS. Human Capital Management University, two components or two parts. We have face-to-face, still that traditional professional learning that will take place with then bringing groups of teachers, group of stakeholders together throughout the district. We'll also have that virtual component that we're going to share with you in regards to a video tonight of how we can also bring learners together in that virtual space, that virtual platform for HCMU, and then again blended. We know that at times when we bring adult learners together, it may be professional learning or it may be an article or something that we'd like for them to engage in prior to the professional learning take place, and they can access that article or those articles through Human Capital Management University online portal. So again, I want to make sure that when we speak about HCMU, we're talking about face-to-face professional learning as well as virtual online professional learning, or blended together. So for this component, earlier this afternoon, had an opportunity to meet with the board in a board work session, and we talked about specific metrics that we could use in measuring the impact of professional learning. So we talked about in those metrics, especially for the portal system, how we could look at how often stakeholders, staff throughout the district were accessing the content on the professional learning system, as well as using a tool that we have, Thought Exchange, that we can seek feedback from stakeholders throughout the district based upon the professional learning that they're engaged in. Why is that important? If we look at starting at the green square at the top, we want to make sure in seeking feedback from all of our staff, certified and classified, that we're engaging staff in professional learning experiences that are relevant for them, that will have an impact on the responsibilities that they have on a day-to-day basis. We know that there are specific skills that adults need and knowledge that they need. Tonight, just sitting and listening to the different presentations that were presented prior to this presentation, I heard the words professional learning over and over again. Professional learning training, training for teachers around literacy, training around with teachers around numeracy, training again even at the natatorium. So we definitely know that when it comes to PL, this is something that we need. When it comes back to that, refining instructional practices, and the blue box is key. When we look at why professional learning for adult learners, we need to make sure that the professional learning that we're engaging our adults in have a greater student achievement outcome and impacting students with professional learning. With that, again, looking at metrics from beginning of the year data, middle of the year, and end of the year. So we'll be consistently collecting qualitative data, asking teachers and others about their experiences, but also aligning that to what metrics are we getting based upon the assessments that we're having students to take on a regular basis. So this is huge for us. Onboarding this summer, HCMU Summer Learning, there will be professional learning sessions throughout the school year for all stakeholders in the district, starting in June with principals looking on well-being and strategies around conscious discipline, restorative practices. And with that, with our teachers this year, we're going to focus on a 10-day new teacher orientation. Let me say that again. 10 days for new teachers and FWCS.
Love it.
There is not another district close to us or surround that would be paying teachers 10 days to attend new teacher orientation.
How long was our previous new teacher
Our
orientation?
previous new teacher orientation was 2 days.
Okay.
And with our new teacher orientation, we did have our previous system that we have, what we refer to again as HCMU in sum total. But with that system, it was a lot of files that we could upload, but not engage teachers in the deep learning following this 10-day new orientation that we can do with the system that we're going to share with you tonight.
I think that's a terrific promise to any teacher considering a position in a district where you have those worries and doubts about, can I do it, can I succeed? And I think it's just a great commitment to people considering the profession and our district as their employer.
Thank you.
How many new teachers do you expect this year? Sorry.
So far with our new teacher count, I want to say we're up to is 126. In the past, I can say that by the time we've had new teacher orientation, we have onboarded in 2 days 300 teachers. So principals are still in the process of hiring teachers. We had the opportunity to share this last week at leadership. And so based upon teachers say that they were hired by principals in January, maybe February or March, principals have already reached out and says, what about those teachers? Based upon what you shared with us, we have teachers that we want to attend this also because we think it's very important for them to have the same learning that you're giving new teachers starting out with.
Ramona, when I was a new teacher to the district, I was also a head volleyball coach, so how would I resolve that conflict?
So
Because I've been paid to do that too.
So last year we received input from new teachers, and you're absolutely right. There was a choice between, do I attend my responsibilities with being a volleyball coach, or do I come to this new teacher in service after school? And so basically we know with the change in hours that For elementary schools, they'll still have that PL time at the beginning of the day, and then middle and high
But I
school.
thought new teacher orientation was before school started.
New teacher orientation will be the onboarding part before
So
school
that's when I'm
starts.
coaching, that's when I'm coaching volleyball. That's the conflict I'm talking about.
So one key that's going to help us in that is that everything that we're doing this summer is going to be recorded.
Okay.
And so when I talk about the online component of HCMU, we're going to record that content, upload it to the HCMU online portal, and teachers will have access to that information. And the reason that's important, Julie, is because, again, we're going to hire teachers after this 10-day new teacher orientation. And they'll miss all the information that we shared with them for the first 10 days. So it's very important for us to have a system that teachers can go back to review that information. And not only that, because we don't want teachers just engaged in a system and not having the support. So we're going to talk about later how, again, our coaches, our leaders at the building level will, again, have this information supporting their teachers.
So if we have hired somebody past is it 2 sessions of onboarding or just 1 right now?
Just 1 for right now.
Okay, so if we have, or somebody has scheduled a vacation or something, like, for example, they can go, they're there the first 5 days, we've hired them, but they've already scheduled a vacation that second, they then can go online and do the end, or we?
So, again, they can go online, but we want to make sure, especially for our new teachers, that they know, again, with the career support and professional growth that we want them to have, it's not that we're just going to have them to go and just continuously engage in watching a module. So with that, 10-day new teacher orientation is the beginning of that support for new teachers. New teachers, we're going to still be bringing that group of new teachers together on an ongoing basis. We're going to be out in buildings supporting those new teachers on an ongoing basis, but they will have access to this content.
So if we've hired somebody in late and we still are filling that gap, that's where they'll start?
Yes.
Okay.
And principals let us know. We do look at the board report to see any new hires that's been hired within the district. So we have a person that pays very close attention to that. So we reach out to that person right away. So for 10-day new teacher orientation, the PL department, based upon personal email addresses, based upon phone numbers, they're already reaching out to those new teachers that have been hired, saying, welcome to the district. We're glad that you chose FWCS, the district to work in. Based upon you coming to FWCS, you have 10 days of new teacher orientation. Some of those teachers right away will say, oh, I'm in another commitment. I'm not able to get out of that until this date. I can make it by day 3. So that's some of that information that we're finding out also.
Will this be mandatory for new teachers then, or optional?
Well, we're going to use the word strongly recommended that they attend this, but this is something that we truly see as an investment for our teachers as onboarding them. So it is a mandatory component that we're going to have, knowing that there will have to be exceptions because someone, again, could be leaving a job, that job is not giving them time to leave from that current job to us. And that's why we'll, again, have to have those support components in place for those teachers that cannot come at that time.
You mentioned that some principals who hired in January and February would like their teachers to attend this. So
yes.
How do we handle, like Jen said, there are going to be teachers that we hire after this. They'll also have access to this, but will it be paid? Will this, going through this process of all these modules and things like that, they're not in person, will it also be paid?
So we will not pay throughout, as of right now, we haven't designed a plan that we pay teachers throughout the school year because we bring new teachers together, again, based upon that job embedded time during the day. We do have a system, and I'll talk about that later, for tracking. So if there's a teacher that's not available, we can still track the time and the hours that they were on. So if we're saying that that's mandatory, that is something that we can look at for paying those teachers because we made it mandatory for them to watch those modules.
I presume these are some of the topics you would cover?
Yes, so basically with the 10-day new teacher orientation, so again, we know that literacy, numeracy, and well-being are our foundational components. So again, it comes back to the question that Steve asked during the work session. What is it that we say that we want every teacher in FWCS to know and understand and have the FWCS way? So again, what is it that we truly want them to know prior to day one in their classrooms? What is it that we want them to know around literacy?
Are we going to talk about security protocols and procedures in this?
Security protocols and procedures. We've been meeting with each department based upon this 10-day new teacher orientation. Today, we just met with Human Resources and with the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department. And so each one of those departments, we're going through the learn design to show what that learning would look like for each one of those days.
So
go ahead.
we're specifically talking about teacher orientation and the access that they have on HCMU.
Yes.
When will other support staff have access to different training?
So really starting with our summer PL, professional learning, even talking about numeracy, literacy. So in your for board and packets, there's a summer PL calendar, and it's specific dates that we have PL throughout the summer for literacy, for numeracy, for well-being, and it's for certified staff and classified staff. We have placed that information in our superintendent's weekly. We've shared it with principals. There are actually links for our employees to register for those specific sessions so that we know exactly how many employees that we have coming. Also, along with that, we have our district-wide PL day. We have our quality improvement time that we're going to be bringing specific teachers together to work on their building-based plans. And then we have institutes just for our administrators to attend. So again, for certified and classified, some of those days outside that window, again, I know that she's still here. Renee, I know for transportation, we're bringing in our transportation, our bus drivers earlier, where she's going to be taking them through a full PL Institute for them around safety, engaging them again in that conscious discipline and well-being of how do they, when it comes to having students on their buses, how do they look and manage the behaviors that could occur during the bus ride and transporting from their site to the school.
So registrars, attendance clerks, and those sorts of people will have specific training for their particular job.
Yes, so that's the part with the PL, is making sure that it's relevant for your specific job and responsibility. So especially with the online portal, that if you're a registrar or you're, let's just say, customer service. So customer service is one, if we said that we wanted everyone in the district to have that, or if we wanted to make sure that all of our secretaries at the building and at the district level had a course around customer service. We could do that face-to-face. We could do that customer service course blended, or we could have that customer service course to be virtual. The reason for having that virtual component, again, if we have a secretary that's not able to engage on that specific day, we can always direct them back to that course that's online.
So can we get back to if that person, for example, is not available that day, and that's taking place in their work day or PL part of their work day, is it then non-paid if they're doing it on their own? If it's not, I'm just trying to figure out whether our employees, when it is not paid and integrated into our day, are going to utilize and do that.
So once school starts and it's integrated into the day, and that's what I'm referring to as job embedded PL, it's not paid for. So I always think for when I say not paid for is monetary, that it's not paid as far as the $25 an hour professional learning rate because it's during the day when they're already on the job. However, we do know, and not every district does this, I look at it as they are receiving a monetary pay because we do a really good job in our district as far as making sure that teachers have enough professional growth points to renew their licensure. And if we did not do that, that would be an expense that they would have to pay.
Right.
So during the day, they do not get the $25 per hour PL rate.
But that's only for certified, or I always get
For certified. For classified, we work if they're on the clock during the day because our classified staff receives $15 an hour for PL rate, but that's after school hours, so they would not get it during the day. So say, for instance, our instructional assistants, there could be PL that they engage in during the day that the principal actually have set a time that once all of their staff is there, that they may, if they have an AP may facilitate or engage their staff, their instructional assistants with that PL. They may have someone from district office to come and support that PL. Their coach could be supporting their instructional assistants with that PL at the building level. So we're only paying for professional learning. For the most part, in our district, when we pay for PL, it's during the summer that we're asking specific staff, so we're paying 10-day PL for new teacher orientation. However, if you're let's just say you're a 7th grade teacher, and you want to participate in a PL session that we're offering this summer, you can register for that PL, but it's not going to be paid for at the PL rate. So the only summer PL for right now for this is 10-day new teacher. We have the piloting process that you heard curriculum talk about earlier. Since those teachers are piloting a new curriculum, we are paying those teachers to engage in that professional learning this summer. We also want to make sure on this one, before I move, we want to make sure that for our new teachers, they will attend on day 3 the Ignited Conference. So district-wide, anyone can register to attend the Ignited Conference. They will not be paid for it. However, our new teachers that were onboarded in the first 10 days, they are going to receive pay because that's a part of them being onboarded to the FWCS system. We also heard a lot about project-based learning tonight. And so again, looking at that, we want to make sure that our new teachers from the very beginning know that we believe that hands-on relevant learning experiences are really important to our students. And so we're going to be discussing the why and the how and what of project-based learning. And then we're going to share with them a resource that they can use when it comes to defined learning. And with defined learning, we're going to share with them how specific projects have already been identified within their scope and sequence, and then that project is going to be modeled for them and give them the opportunity to engage in that project. So when they start the first 2 weeks of school, they have really that confidence level of, I can leave these first 10 days of training, go into my building really confident, and have a 20-day plan of how I'm going to start my school year.
That's great.
Again, with maximizing capacity and accountability, we want to make sure, again, with this platform, all staff can track their professional growth points for license renewal. And so again, this is huge. They get their transcript, that anything that they've engaged in within the system, that they will be able to track. This system also will give building leaders that utilization for their staff page. If there's a handbook that they want their staff to have, that can be included within the system. Any school information, if there's a school announcement that they want all staff to have, they can place that within this online portal system. Any school resources they want them to use. And again, coming back not to just new teachers, you have a staff meeting come Wednesday, but you had several teachers that were not able to attend that staff meeting. You could have those teachers to go back, and that information could be there that those teachers would easily have access to. This system will allow multiple users to collaborate together. If I'm at Kiki-Younger Middle School and I have a specific unit that I've created for Kiki-Younger Middle School, but I want to collaborate with Memorial Park Middle School, I can share that access and Memorial Park. Or if I'm building a unit together, we can both be working on that unit together as we're building it. This gives internal experts why to share the knowledge and skills. This one is key because in the past, I can just say that during my leadership position, we've used a lot of external consultants when it comes to facilitating and leading PL within FWCS. The shift that we have is that with internal experts, is that we're making sure that when it comes to training, we're using the train-the-trainer model and bringing that back so that we have internal teachers and administrators that's engaging others in the professional learning that we need. Teachers really see it being really important that they see their peers standing before them. Principals see the importance of having their peers in front of them. Other stakeholders throughout the district see the importance of not having someone to come into the district. Central office can work side by side with that person. They can support and how do you design the learning, but we really need buy-in and empowerment from the principal and other leaders to make sure that their staff have buy-in also.
I have a question.
Sure.
So if a teacher decides they want to put something on that platform, are they compensated for providing that?
So if teachers would say that they needed to place something on the platform and they were actually designing professional learning for us, yes, teachers would get paid for that. So at the building level, when it comes to like if I'm the coach and I'm doing that just as part of my regular building level, that's part of my job. But here's a PL that someone's asking you to facilitate that could be used throughout the district. We do, and we've done in the past and will continue to do, we support teachers, not with a stipend, but we pay them their hourly rate when they're designing PL for others to use district-wide. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amanda so that she can introduce the video that we're going to watch tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Before we share our video, I just wanted to explain a little bit about it. So you heard Ramona speak to the why of HCMU, why we need this, how it differentiates FWCS from most other school districts in Indiana. There are very few other districts, maybe one or two, that have staff universities. This truly shows our commitment to our staff here at FWCS. So before we go into the video, HCMU Hannah, who is our avatar and our spokesperson for HCMU, she'll walk you through the system, the platform. So the platform that we use is called Brightspace, but we will refer to it as HCMU Online. This platform is also used by other school districts around the country for their staff professional development pages, including Boston Public Schools, which has one of the best staff PD in the nation. They also use this platform. That was something that we took into consideration as we were researching the solutions available to us. So Hannah is going to take you through the system, show you some different elements of the system, and show you some of the actual courses that we have in the system currently.
And this is the Brightspace system?
Yes.
And you said the Boston Public Schools use this?
Yes, they do. Yes. Hi there. My name is Hannah, and I'll be your guide as we take a look at Brightspace, the new Human Capital Management University Learning Platform. HCMU is the university for each and every staff member here at Fort Wayne Community Schools. We offer a variety of opportunities for career development and growth through job-embedded professional learning, leadership programs, and professional learning communities. With our new Brightspace platform, we can now also offer 24/7 on-demand learning opportunities through virtual courses, each one carefully curated for staff needs and wants. Let's go inside and explore some of the courses. Courses can be accessed through the My Courses area of the homepage or by clicking on the course waffle at the top of the page. The Discover feature can be used to search or browse all available courses. The homepage of each course has announcements, a handy calendar, and a table of contents for easy access to course materials. Course content can also be accessed through the Content button in the toolbar. Grades and professional growth points for license renewal can be viewed by accessing the Grades button in the toolbar. Everything you need to succeed in one place. We are so excited to share Brightspace with the FWCS community as we continue to learn and grow together. So come on, take a look and discover what's within. So as you can see from the video, this platform will support each and every staff member here at FWCS. All staff members will have access to this platform. They will have access to it 24/7. There's no need for them, they can access it if they're here or if they're somewhere else. And they're just wanting to do this for their own personal career or professional growth. There will be differentiated professional learning available on the platform, such as what Ramona spoke to earlier. And it's also a repository of specific content. So if a teacher is needing something specific from curriculum, they will be able to search that platform and find it. If it's something that they're just wanting to look for, or if it's just something they're curious about, they can go on the platform, search for curriculum, and see what's available on that platform if they're not sure exactly of what they're looking for. Prior to leadership last week, we spoke with a few principals and just had them test out the system for us. Before we took it to the larger group, we really wanted to ensure that it was available for them, that it worked, technically speaking, but also that they were able to navigate things fairly easily. One of the other reasons that we chose this specific platform is because it's similar to a student LMS. So teachers, staff, principals, everyone, they're used to using our student LMS, Schoology, so we wanted to have something that had a similar feel for them. This system has different functionality from Schoology, which is why we chose not to go with Schoology for this as well. We really wanted to maintain that separation between the student LMS and the adult LMS. We wanted to really, identify Schoology as the student LMS. This is where the students are learning. Here's the LMS for the adults in the district. Here's how you're going to learn and how to better yourself as a teacher, as an instructional assistant, as a bus driver. And so this is some of the feedback that we received prior to leadership. After leadership, we asked principals and other building and district leaders to complete a thought exchange just to get their feedback again after they've seen the platform, they've been able to engage with it, interact with it a little bit. They were able to go through a course as a student. They were able to go into their school homepage and be able to start adding content. And so we just asked for their feedback. We said, what actionable feedback do you have for implementation and next steps? And so this is some of the feedback, a word cloud that we received from the thought exchange. Most of the feedback was very positive. We really didn't hear anything that was, why are we switching this? It was more of, when can we start getting into this system? When can we start building? Who can have access to this? How often can we work on this? So they were very hungry. They really wanted to get in there. Like Ramona said earlier, the other building leaders, such as our 260 and 215 APs, were very interested. They were like, how do I get access to this? When can I start adding things to it? I want to have stuff in there ready for my staff when they come back to start the next school year, so we can hit the ground running and we don't have to spend a bunch of time going through some of these things that we would have to spend in person. We can focus really on what's important when it comes to our PLs.
So how will the thought exchange be used, just like in a normal, just like in a presentation setting, use it, or it's not going to prompt anything out, right? I mean, it's going to, I just help me understand how the thought exchange will be used.
So we can use it both ways. And so basically coming back to the metrics, when we have the group together, so we can do a thought exchange where they can see in real simulation what comments, what feedback, what active thoughts that others are giving. And then again, we can use that thought exchange after the group has left to send that thought exchange back. One of the specific questions, and working with Sam Wimmer when it comes to professional learning, that we've looked at when it comes to metrics is that we do want to ask all of our stakeholders with HCMU, especially with this platform, how are they using this, how are they using the learning in their day-to-day practice. So that's a thought exchange question that we're going to be sending to our stakeholders based upon you engaged in the learning. How do you see this as impacting your day-to-day implementation of the learning with your students or with your staff? Also, we're going to be asking them for actionable feedback, because we know that, again, with this system, we rolled this system out the first time. We're trying to make sure this time with the new system that it's being rolled out the right way. So we're going to be consistently with a thought exchange asking staff for feedback as far as actionable comments that you have for us on next steps or what else is needed in moving forward.
Did the current system have any of that? Capabilities?
The thought exchange system is different than our HCMU platform, so that's another platform that we use to gather feedback. So we've used it when we looked at the referendum for gathering thoughts from external stakeholders. We've used it when we got ready to look at transportation. We use it at leadership for right now. So that's a system that we already have, thought exchange that we use in gathering that feedback.
But did we do any surveying? How did you find this presentation? Was it helpful, not helpful? That kind
So
of
we
stuff,
did that basically with Google Forms, and we did that with exit slips, but as far as with sum total, no. We did not have that as far as the previous system and asking for feedback in that way.
In this program, is that something to be built into before they exit out of the program to ensure, feedback?
Yes, so even within, if you're engaged in a unit in this, is that even before they complete that unit, if that's something that the instructor decides that they want that feedback immediately, that's a question that they can input into that course that they're asking other stakeholders
So that's an
to
option
take.
for the instructor to put in, or is that something we can build into the?
We can build it in automatically if it's something that we want to say district-wide. We want this to be a criteria that has to be in each course that's being developed. We could make that a decision and say every course that we ask anyone to put in HCMU, here's something that we want you to have as a question in that course.
Well, I think it'd be important to do that to see if it's valuable or not, right? To see if it's really meaningful to whoever the user is.
So I definitely know district-wide, we were looking at that, but I do see that as a valid point as far as having that to be a constant and developing of the courses as we're having other stakeholders to develop them.
For teachers to get PGP points, would that be something that could be required to complete, I mean, part of the completion process?
Yes, so
Or-
that is already set up, that is, as far as the completion for that or comprehensive, like say for instance, it's set up for some courses, and we haven't done this for all of them, like before you can exit this course or actually receive PGPs for this course, you have to pass this assessment that's built in with the course at least at 80%. So it's not like I just watch it, I click off of it, there's actually a criteria that you do that. So again, district-wide, we haven't said that everyone needs to include an assessment and make that assessment 80%, but that is an option that we have as you're developing the content for the courses.
I liked Noah's thought on having something that we ask a question, because if we sit back here next year at this time and we ask you, hey, Ramona, how's it going? I would think that that would be a valid data point to present to us based on how many users we're using, how they like it, if it's effective, whether that be at leadership or be at teacher level. It would be something that I'd like to know.
And again, I think that's great information. I too like that point. And then know continuously with this system, we'll be monitoring this system continuously. So we'll know based upon the reports that we can gather from that. We will have the number of times this system has been accessed. We will be able to capture exactly what content has been accessed within the system.
I was thinking of the same line of what I just heard Noah and Jennifer talk about. I'd love to see a dashboard of 5 or 6 key indicators of how it's going. I don't want an Excel spreadsheet with 3,000 numbers on it. I don't know what those 6 questions are or those data points, but something that's going to help the board understand this is the system that's being used by our teachers and valued by our teachers. I don't know what that looks like, but it's not an Excel spreadsheet.
Steve, it will not be an Excel spreadsheet. We were working with Jack because this system again has a dashboard that's built within. I think the question is what key questions are we going to be asking and looking for within that dashboard?
I mean, it's going to be helpful for us, but I think it's going to prove to people within the system who work for us and the community that this commitment is a real one. It's not just something that's there that people might use. It is something that is being used, and we have to show that.
Thank you. I totally agree.
I also have that challenge that I expressed a little bit earlier, is that it sounds like before we were using this talent management system, like various different ways to track this, and I really challenge you to get this message out to our teachers of this is what it is when we're talking about this. Human Capital Management University encompasses all these things, and how are we going to get that to them? Because obviously our new teacher is going to know about it right away. It's all the others that aren't coming to the onboarding and spending those 10 days and learning about this. And I think that that's going to be a challenge, and it's a communication challenge within our buildings itself, the principals knowing, and also the PL department in general. Because up until now, if I mentioned that to a few of my teacher friends, that I don't really know what you're talking about. Is that the talent management? Is that? And quite frankly, I didn't know that that encompasses all of that either until this evening's presentation. So I couldn't tell them that. I'm just like, no, it's human capital management. It's all these things. Look back on November 8th. We got a great presentation on it. So I think that that's going to be a challenge outside of our onboarding process that is a challenge for you to get that message out there.
Thank you. I see it as a challenge and an opportunity, and we're working very closely with Krista because one of our deliverables is a communication plan on how do we really share and roll out HCMU to all stakeholders.
Great, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that, the 10 days is just mind-boggling to me, because back in the olden days when I was a teacher, I had 0 days. I just figured it out myself, maybe asked the teacher next door. So, just that 10 days and being paid. I mean, as a new teacher, wow, that I would just be eating that
Yes.
up. So that's really exciting, that there's so much more training. Granted, there's so much more to learn because I didn't even use a computer any of the days I taught. But still, it's a great opportunity for our new teachers. And I think that's a draw to our district. The extra pay, the 10 days of training. Who wouldn't want to work for Fort Wayne Community Schools?
Thank you, Ann.
Along those same lines, I want to let you know I did have a teacher who's been a long-term sub off and on in our district who told me today that they were super excited for the onboarding. They were more than excited. They wanted, because they're getting bits and pieces in different schools and doing different things, that we're going to now put that together. So she was commending anyone who put that together, that they were very excited about that. So
Thank you. And if I can just say to the board, because Ann stopped me before coming in this afternoon, and so I know we did not get the opportunity during the board work session, and so just like we talked about project-based learning and hands-on, project-based learning and hands-on, in your folders that I shared with you earlier, there are step-by-step directions, and so I would truly appreciate it if you would take the time to actually log in to that system using those directions. Contact Amanda or myself if you have any questions, because it may be questions that after you truly log into the system, especially that online portion, that you may have additional questions that you want to ask for clarity around. Really, now that I actually logged into the system, I logged into a course, I see the way that course works. We tried to give you different examples. So we gave you one course for transportation when you had to actually pass the test before you can go to the next one. Then we gave you another course that you could go completely through the course without having to pass a test. So if you can find any time whatsoever to really look at that system. And then we also within, in your folders, we truly gave you all the dates that we have as of right now for professional learning, not just for our new teachers, but for all of our staff. And would really welcome you to attend any of that, because I really do believe that when you see the professional learning in this district in action, then it gives you a better understanding of the big picture of what we're trying to achieve for all of our adult learners.
We log in with our Fort Wayne Community School email address?
So for this one, based upon what you have in your folder, the only thing you'll have to do is that when you go to the URL link that we have there,
right,
up on how to log in, you will place that URL link. Once you click on that, you'll see a button that says Samuel Login. Do not, Abby just left, but we're going to actually remove username and password from that page, so you do not have to include a username or password. You're just going to click on that button where it says Samuel Login. Yes, but it goes to, it is step by step, so there's probably like 3 to 4 pages that's back to back. So it gives you, this is what you need to do first, this is what you need to do next, and this is what you need to do. And we just didn't have the opportunity to do that during our board work session. But I think it's really a plus if you're really trying to understand what we're doing with the system.
I see Renee Dawson at the microphone.
Yes.
Is this an appropriate time to give my feedback on?
Yes.
I'm not being paid or compensated for these comments. I started when I joined the district last year. I, through a conversation, was given the information that we had a PL department. And so I rushed down to Ramona's office and said, I think this is great. How do I get involved? So we started from the first day that our drivers returned a couple of days before school. We partnered with Mary Margaret, who is part of her department, and did training for my entire staff. That focused on student management and kind of turning your lens at how you look at working in transportation. We then continued with Mary Margaret throughout the school year. We took 70+ employees through a 6-day training over Christmas break. They became school bus safety certified. to help them have tools in their toolbox, bus drivers and assistants and some of our office staff. It was optional, but we had that many people over Christmas break attend. Then Mary Margaret has also partnered with us to work with my office staff on relationship building and how to identify problems and problem solve. So I've been very pleased with the relationship that we have built with them. It's great to be able to partner and say, hey, I want to teach my staff this, but I don't have to go home on the weekend or in the evening and try and figure out how to put that together. We have professionals to help us with that. Just a quick data point, a hard data point, is that the last time I checked about a month ago, our bus conduct numbers were down by over 600 for this school year versus the same time last school year. And I can promise you that some of that is the training that my staff has received through Ramona and her department. I think, and I listen to you guys talk, and I'm not trying to be critical, but it's always teachers, teachers, teachers. You guys kept saying teachers need to know, teachers need to know. Our entire staff needs to know, because we see the same things in the buses that we see in classrooms, and we really need to equip our people to handle that and be successful. So I appreciate the work that your department's done, and I look forward to the new platform. My team's not super techie, so we'll probably stay with more in person, but they've also built a relationship. Our person is Mary Margaret, and they've also built a relationship with Mary Margaret and look forward to seeing her. And I don't have to catch her up on what we've already learned. She already knows that. So it's been great. I really appreciate it as someone fairly new to the district and leading a department.
How would you say it's been received by your staff? Because I think, you know, you have heard a lot of teachers, there's a couple of teachers on here, but I do think we're conscious, and I appreciate the comments about the certified, or again, I always get this confused, the non-teaching staff.
Classified.
Right? We think that's very important as well.
Right.
But, as someone pointed out, you know, asking them to come and not get paid, this is a unique environment in my experience, education, in that training doesn't seem to be paid typically.
Correct.
Where in the environment I've worked in other businesses, you know, you get paid to get trained in part too. So not every profession, but many. So I guess my question ultimately was, how did your staff receive it? What changes did you see, and how they moved that forward?
So initially, because there had not been training provided at the level that we are doing it now, people were not as open to it in the beginning.
Sure.
And I'm going to take you to our Christmas training, so 6 days. It was paid. I did receive some resistance when I presented that, like, wait, you want to teach bus drivers something over Christmas? We don't do that, but it was amazing. So 6 days, the first day they came in, Mary Margaret had laid out like a puzzle piece, and you had to sit at the table that your puzzle piece fit together with the other people. And my drivers and my staff were like, ugh, I just want to sit with my friends. And so every day, same thing, to make them mix and mingle with people they didn't know. By the 5th day, they were like, I loved this. I got to know people I didn't know, even though I work right next to them. So now they're very receptive to it, and we're excited to move forward, and we're working now on next year's PL and what's that going to look like for our team and what are our goals with that. So it's so important for everyone in our district to be offered that same opportunity to sharpen their skills. I fully believe that. And I don't know of, and I know a lot of people in the biz, I don't know any other transportation departments that are investing in their driving staff, their office staff, and their bus assistants like we are.
And I do want to say, just like Renee gave kudos to us, and Steve, you asked earlier about equity. Renee bought into, she wanted her staff to have professional learning. So it wasn't that it hadn't been asked, or it had been when we had reached out before to say, here is something that we'd like to sit down, collaborate with you and plan with your staff. It didn't happen. Renee, as soon as she met with her staff, she says, do you not do professional learning with bus drivers? Because I don't see it anywhere. I don't see any plans for it. They said that they're not engaged. And so I said, are you truly telling me that you want to do it? And she said, yes. So again, with that equity piece, Steve, comes to how do we really empower leaders that we want everyone within our district to understand that it's needed. I do want to clarify again with the paid component is that our professional learning, for the most part, is the job embedded, and then looking at the 4 days that we're wanting to get approval from the state that we're doing professional learning during the day when we have our employees with us. When you do professional learning, after I've worked all day, I've had my best in front of my students. It's difficult when you're trying to push and then make me become a learner at the end of the day. So the shift that we've made is that basically the PL that we have after school or after hours, it's basically where the professional is making that choice that I'm not an interventionist, but maybe I want to be an interventionist. I'm not a coach, but I want to be a coach. So those are the times that we're doing those sessions after school, that it's not during the school day. So I just kind of wanted to make sure when it came to that paid component that I did some clarification around that.
Real quick before you leave, if you don't mind, how did you guys settle on this Bright Star or whatever? Especially after you had the challenges with the other entity.
Basically, with the awesome facilitation with Jack Bird, we started out with a SWOT analysis. And so we really looked at what it was that we had with the current system. And based upon that system, we really said, what's the strengths of it? You know, we just really, what's your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that you're looking for, and what are the threats that's there? And so then basically when we got to the threats and based upon what is it that we truly want this system to be able to do, everyone just looked and said, this system is not doing what we want it to be able to do. The other part too is that it's not that Jack or myself didn't realize that until we did the SWOT analysis that this was not the right system. Basically we had a system that we had paid for that we basically with human capital management, we started actually with the TIF grant. And that's when we actually purchased this system and then renewed based upon what we wanted the system to do. So knowing that we wanted this system to be able to be more engaging for our adults, we also wanted it to be user-friendly because the system that we currently had, one of the reasons that staff did not use it, you got to click here, then click here, then click here. So staff said, I just found it cumbersome to even use the system. It just wasn't user-friendly. And so basically we knew as soon as we started looking, we wanted a system that we could see that other school systems, like Amanda spoke earlier about the Boston school system and using it and how user-friendly. The other part was really that tech support component, not just internally for our tech support, but we also wanted someone that really, when it came to supporting the system and meeting our needs, would this company be the company based upon the support that we had before? We just didn't have the right support to say this system is not working right, so we maybe would contact it, maybe 2 weeks, it may be 3 weeks later that we would get a response back. For my part, for the most part, Jack was my key person to say, I think it's time for you to have a conversation because this is not working correctly. So basically, the team that I shared with you earlier, the AIP team, we looked at 3 to 4 different systems. And so everyone brought back, we met every Friday, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We left with assignments for each other. Would you please go out, start making connections? Courtney, that our director with curriculum, based upon her previous experience with her district, she had actually worked again with an HCMU system. So then we had someone that was bringing information to us that here's a system that we use. We also looked at systems as far as affordability. And so some of them that when we looked at those systems is like, that is way outside of our price range to even look at the system that we have. So really, each system, everyone that was on that committee took the time to actually explore that system. They would come back and say, oh, this system doesn't track PGPs or it doesn't give you PGPs. This system will not allow you to upload your content. This system just gives you files like the other one. So we basically kind of had a protocol that we were following for specifics that we were looking for.
Is this offered to D2L?
Yes.
Okay. I searched it. Okay. Just make sure I'm on the same page with you.
You're on the same page.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
thank you very much. All right, that brings us to board member comments.
Couple of thoughts tonight. I just so pleased that I was a part of, with you, 2 votes that focused on the safety and welfare of our kids in the pool, in our buildings, accessibility. You know, it took one drowning in our pool over 20 years ago to understand that we weren't prepared, and we bought a system, and now technology has just really pushed us to the new system that we heard from Liz. So pleased to do that. Love what Ramona's doing, something that Charles started with HCMU. And Dr. Joe, those two young people in your department, I thought they were students from one of our high schools. You know, at my age, everybody's younger than me, but I hated math. And it's just so good to see people who love it and are going to do the best for our kids. I was not with you last week. I was in New Jersey with my wife on a babysitting assignment. And one of the evenings we were at the kids, our grandkids, track meets, and ran into a parent who was wearing a windbreaker with the Purdue logo on it. And so we started chatting, and sure enough, he's got a son who's at Lafayette in computer science. And I said, how's that out-of-state tuition? He says, really, it's not bad in comparison to what the East Coast universities charge. And he was not talking about first class. He was talking about second class universities that charged more than Purdue. And then on top of it, he said something that I had never thought of, and it was the cost of living in a Boston or a Washington, D.C., or a New York City, where the cost of living was just phenomenal. So an apartment in West Lafayette is pretty darn good. And he just raved about the quality of education that really we deliver at both Purdue and IU. So anyway, a lot of education going around town.
Week before last, I got to go on a tour of the Nutrition Services building. Kathy was there, Ann was there, and it's a fabulous facility. I couldn't work there because it would be too cold. I think in the food processing areas, it's 42 degrees? And then there was another area that was even colder than that, wasn't there? But the interesting thing about it, though, is Rhonda, I forget her last name, but she's a supervisor, and a very interesting person, interesting story. Obviously, she's a nutritionist, or dietitian, I guess is what you call it. Very passionate about what she does, and also passionate about making sure Nutrition Services is meeting Fort Wayne Community School mission. I mean, you know, she was talking about how they can use what they serve in the morning at high school, for example, to encourage, to decrease tardies. And I don't know if I'm even supposed to talk about that specifically because it might be a trade secret that is not yet to be revealed, so I'm not going to say exactly what it is. But if I were a student, I think I'd be excited about it, a high school student. But they're also thinking of ways that they can use the mass production that they do at Nutrition Services to help and make production easier at like our high schools and middle schools. But the staff, again, is really dedicated to the overall Fort Wayne Community School mission. It was a really interesting tour. And I think this school year they restarted school field trips, you know, that had been discontinued during COVID. So if any teacher out there is looking for an interesting field trip for your classes next year, I would definitely consider our Nutrition Services building. Really interesting. And you might get a free sample of something.
Yeah, it was pretty good too.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as we near the end of school, for me this year, I have a senior, and so there's been a lot of awards nights for everyone, including having the kids here, but I just would like to commend everybody in our district and not to leave out our classified bus drivers and everybody who are getting those kids back and forth to school, still on these last days of school. But thanks to everybody, and I think that this time of the year is a very special time of the year, and I know that all the board members are signed up to be at graduation, and ultimately that's our goal for all of our students, is to get to that day, you know. And 3 days.
3 days.
3 school days?
3 school days. And then graduations are next week, but I know that there's a lot of awards events and everything else that culminate at the end of the year, and it's just exciting to see all those children be recognized at whatever level that they're at, and having all the parents come out to, you know, congratulate them, see what their hard work they've been doing, and having all of our staff and everybody celebrate along with them. So that's really all I have to say tonight, is just congratulations to everybody, and, you know, have a great and safe summer.
I have no comments.
Raleigh, your comments? Yep, perfect timing.
Unless you want me to go first.
Oh, you go ahead.
I'll just take a minute and say, echo Jennifer's comments to congratulate Renee and her team and a lot of the other folks to getting through the year. And I want to especially recognize one Lexi Mathias and Ariana Smith, who are near and dear to Jennifer and my hearts, who will be graduating. For me, this will be my last child through Fort Wayne Community Schools, so I thank the district for educating them. Her future is to be determined, so we will see, but I'm proud of you, Ariana, and good luck.
I want everyone to have a great, I was going to say, I don't know if anybody ever watched Def Poetry Jam, but Russell Simmons used to come out and say, thank y'all for coming out. God bless you. Good night. It's almost 8:30. Have a great summer.
I'll leave it there.
That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Make it quick, Dr.
I love
Daniel.
it.
Dr. Daniel, did you have any comments?
People who are interested in education, if you have a bachelor's, we're just down with the governor today. He signed the bill, transition to teaching, and there are dollars available to help teachers, potential teachers, new people. And we were very, very open to this. And I want to thank Dr. Brad Oliver from PFW, because he's the one who really was the mindset behind this, put it together for us. And our legislators felt it was something that they could, I'll just say, unanimously approve. So very pleased with that. But again, anyone who is out there. Second of all, we have scholarships available for students that are current seniors who want to go to Ivy Tech in the health care field. It's through Parkview. Charles and I were just on a Zoom this morning with some of Parkview's leadership. We have how many positions open still? Like 24-ish? I think they have 26, 4 on the, but so it is available. If you have a son or daughter and you would want them to enter the health-related field with a connection with Parkview Hospital, here's the opportunity. I would like to fill all 50 of those positions. And lastly, I agree with what Raleigh said. First of all, hey, it's been a fast year, actually. Thank you, teachers, principals, support staff, bus drivers, all you folks. It's, I think we're back on our way from the years of COVID. The recovery is happening. Students are learning, and it's just very refreshing to see. Thank you.
I will keep my comments brief because it is almost 8:30, but I just want to say thank you. We at FWCS, we all know internally that we're this giant ship, and it takes all of us and a lot of us to do all the things that we do and impact all the students that we impact. So I just want to say thank you and have a great summer, a safe summer. And I just wanted to add, Renee, that I feel like bus drivers get all of the drama after school on the way home. So I mean, it's almost, yeah, I remember those days. I was a bus rider, and my Mr. Dixie, I'll never forget him, was the first person that greeted me in the morning every day, and he was lovely. So they, bus drivers have a big impact on our students. So, but thank you, everyone, district-wide, central office, teachers, all the people. Thank you so much. Have a good summer. Our next scheduled board meeting will be Monday, June 12th. And is there?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Oh, thank you very much. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. Thank you.